Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving deep into the mystical heart of a story you probably think you already know. It's about a choice, right? A fork in the road between an uncle and his nephew. But what we're going to see through the incredible lens of the Zohar is that this is so much more than a family disagreement. It's actually a timeless spiritual drama, a blueprint for the battle that happens inside every single one of us. This verse right here, this is our door in. On the surface, it looks like a simple logistical decision, about who gets which grazing land. But in the secret dimension of Torah, this isn't just two guys parting ways. This is a profound cosmic split right down the middle of the soul itself. And this one separation, it sets off a chain reaction that reveals the deepest secrets of purity, corruption, and what it really means to have spiritual vision. Okay, before we even get into the text, I want you to just picture this scene. Imagine it in 4K. On one side, you've got Abraham, standing on this high, dry ground of Canaan, and he's just bathed in this pure, almost heavenly light. And then on the other side, down in the valley, there's the plain of the Jordan. It is glowing with this almost supernatural greenness, a seductive beauty that's just screaming abundance. But you can see these long, dark shadows stretching out from the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, hinting at the deep, festering corruption inside. This isn't about choosing real estate, people. This is a choice of destiny, a choice between two completely different spiritual frequencies. So here's the roadmap for our journey today. We're going to start with that fateful choice. Then we'll follow Lot's very deliberate descent into the valley. After that, we'll uncover the Zohar's biggest secret about who, or really what, he represents. From there, we'll map out the cosmic mechanics of this separation, look at it through some really cool modern analogies, and finally, we'll understand why this split had to happen for any true spiritual growth to occur. So let's kick things off right where the story begins, with this fundamental choice, this duality between two totally opposite ways of being. This isn't just about choosing to go left or right. This is about choosing up or down, inward or outward, a connection to the divine or getting tangled up in the world. Okay, so this is where it gets really, really interesting, because the Zohar, especially in a section called the Midrash Hana Alam, it just completely reframes these characters. See, Abraham isn't just Abraham. He is the archetype of the neshama, the pure divine soul. His path is all about ascent, about climbing to the higher ground of Canaan, the land of faith. But Lot is the soul's shadow. He represents the inclination, the Yetzer Hara, that gets pulled downward to that lush valley of worldly desire, a place the Zohar flags as a zone of judgment and corruption. They start out together, but their inner natures are pulling them in totally opposite directions. Okay, now let's actually track how this descent happened, because it's so important to get this. Lot's journey into Sodom wasn't an accident. He didn't just stumble and fall in. The Zohar shows it as this deliberate, step-by-step process of detaching from holiness and consciously plugging himself into a corrupted environment. And this just lays out the perfect anatomy of a spiritual fall. It starts with the eyes, right? With what we let ourselves get fascinated by. Lot lifts his eyes and he doesn't see spiritual potential, he sees material profit. He sees something like the garden of the Lord, a kind of fake holiness. Then he chooses for himself, which is a totally self-centered move. Then comes the most mystical step. He journeys from the east, Mikadem. The Zohar explains this isn't just a direction on a compass. Kadem means ancient. He is actively journeying away from the ancient one, from the source of everything. After that, he pitches his tent facing Sodom, basically tuning his entire life to its corrupt frequency. And finally, he takes that last step and dwells within the cities. Boom, full immersion. It's like a slow, deliberate poisoning of the soul. All right, so now we've got to move from the story, the pshat, to the secret, the sod. This is where we pull back the curtain and reveal the core mystical teaching from the Midrash Hanilam that just unlocks this whole drama. See, the Zohar isn't just giving us a history lesson. It's asking us to look deeper, to look past the literal story and find a psycho-spiritual truth that is true for every single one of us. Is Lot just some guy who made a bad choice, or is he a fundamental piece of the human condition itself? And here it is. This is the absolute key. The Zohar reveals that the name Lot, is connected to the Hebrew word for curse, erur, because he represents the primordial serpent, the Yetzer Hara, that was cursed back in Eden. The Zohar says it straight up. When the soul comes to enter the body, Lot went with him. This is the Yetzer Hara. Wow. This changes everything. Their physical separation on the land is actually a parable, a physical drama playing out the soul's number one job, to recognize, to confront, and to finally separate from its own internal negative drive so that it can achieve purity and clarity. Okay, so now that we get what Lot is, that he's the Yetzer Hara, we can explore the how. What are the cosmic mechanics that are driving this separation? How does this all play out on the level of the Sephirot, the divine emanations that make up the very blueprint of reality? And this table, man, it just lays out the cosmic physics of it all so perfectly. Abraham is the full embodiment of Hesed, of loving kindness. His whole life is about channeling that divine energy into the world. Lot's choice is a total rejection of that. His self-interest takes the energy of Gevurah, which is supposed to be about discipline and healthy boundaries, and twists it into the harsh, selfish judgment that defined Sodom. And the result? A complete loss of Tiferet, or harmony. So where does he land? He lands squarely in Malkut, the physical world, but he's not trying to elevate it. He gets trapped by it. The material world becomes his only reality. And by doing that, he fully aligns himself with the Sitra Achra, the other side, the realm of negativity, becoming an agent for its forces. You can really boil this whole cosmic blueprint down to a few key numbers. First, you've got two. Two fundamental paths are presented to the soul: the path of elevation with Abraham, or the path of corruption with Lot. And those two paths split because of one decisive choice. Lot lifts his eyes, he sees the plain, and he chooses for himself. That single act of will kicks off the entire cosmic and personal drama. And the shockwave of that one choice is felt across all 10 Sephirot, the complete blueprint of reality. With that one choice, this whole system, which is meant to be in perfect harmony, gets knocked out of alignment, and its energy gets rerouted into the realm of the Sitra Achra. You can even think about this as a shift in spiritual frequency, something we can almost see as colors. Abraham's path is white, the color of Chesed, pure, unfiltered kindness and potential. Lot's path pulls him toward red, Adom, the color of distorted Gevurah, of raw desire and judgment. The valley itself is green, which should be the color of harmony, of Tiferet. But here it's a fake, deceptive green that's hiding a spiritual emptiness. And the final destination, Sodom, is black, the total absorption of all light, the domain of deep corruption, the Sitra Achra. It is a journey from pure light into total spiritual darkness. Okay, I know this can all feel super mystical, maybe a little abstract, so let's bring it right down into our world today. Let's translate this ancient drama into two languages we all get: gaming and technology. First up, let's picture this whole story playing out like a modern, open-world role-playing game. Okay, so picture this. You're the player. Your main quest is to stick with the hero, Abraham, on this epic spiritual journey. But then, while you're traveling, you see this area on the map that's just glowing with resources. It's a corrupted zone, Sodom. It promises quick, easy loot. So you decide, I'll just dip in for a bit, and you leave the main quest for this side quest. But once you're inside, the rules change. The things that used to be enemies, your greed, your impulses, they're normal here. They become your allies. And pretty soon, the main quest is totally forgotten. You become part of the corrupted zone's logic until the game itself purges the zone and your character gets deleted. All right, now for all my tech people out there, let's reframe this from a systems engineering point of view. This is the cosmic engineering take. This analogy is just so powerful. Think of the soul, Abraham, as a secure, divinely designed network. It's running clean code. Everything's guided by good principles. But there's this sub-process, Lot, the Yetzer Hara, that goes rogue. It detaches from the main system because it wants more resources, more autonomy. So it migrates off the secure server and onto this totally compromised external network, Sodom, which is just filled with malware and viruses. And there, corruption isn't a bug, it's a feature. Instead of being contained, our rogue process starts amplifying all the negative feedback loops on that bad network, making it even more toxic, until a system-wide purge has to be initiated to stop it from crashing everything. And all of this leads us to the climax, and it's a tough one, a powerful one. We arrive at the moment where destruction actually becomes a form of purification, where ruin is the only way back to clarity. And this is where the Zohar drops a really startling but absolutely crucial lesson. The destruction of Sodom, the total removal of Lot from Abraham's world, it wasn't just some tragic side story. It was an absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for Abraham's own spiritual evolution. The static, the corruption that Lot's presence was generating, it had to be completely wiped out so the pure signal of divine prophecy could finally come through. And the proof, the whole key, is right there in the verse itself. God's communication, that ultimate vision, it's given to Abraham only after Lot had separated from him. The Zohar hammers this sequence home. True vision, the ability to lift up your eyes and see the divine promise, is only granted once the soul has consciously, completely separated from its internal Lot, its attachment to selfish desire and to corrupting environments. You have to cast out the shadow before you can stand fully in the light. So you see, this ancient text isn't just history, it's a mirror. And it leaves us with this really provocative question we have to ask ourselves. What's the Sodom in my life? What is that comfortable, seductive, lush environment or internal habit that I'm clinging to that's actually blocking me from being able to lift up my eyes and see my true path? That's the choice we all have to make. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.